I know. I didn't put up a book review last week because instead of reading, I have been watching Dawson's Creek. So it took me a little bit longer to finish my book than normally because I've been watching Dawson's Creek. But I did finish a book, and that was The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. And I absolutely loved it, and so I'm giving it 5 out of 5 stars. The Graveyard Book is a middle grade book about this creepy man who goes into a house and murders everybody in the house, except for the toddler, like the 1-year-old to 2-year-old boy. He gets away, and he just crawls across the street into the graveyard, and all the ghosts in the graveyard are like, oh my gosh, look, it's a boy, we should raise him. And so they do. It mostly just follows the life of the boy. It mostly just follows the boy growing up in the graveyard, and because he's only allowed to live in the graveyard and they don't want him to leave because it's dangerous because that man who murdered his family might come back and murder him. He has to stay in the graveyard the whole time, but they give him what they call the freedom of the graveyard, which is when he can do pretty much everything that all of the ghosts in the graveyard can do. As long as he's in the graveyard, he can fade away so that people can't see him, and he can walk through walls, and he can see in pitch black, and all this really cool stuff. He can haunt people and everything. It's mostly about him growing up in the graveyard. There's also, talk and such about the guy who murdered his family, and is he going to try and murder him? And what I liked a lot about the book is that there's illustrations in it. There's a lot at the beginning, and then they kind of just disappear about halfway through the book, which made me sad. I was like, where are the illustrations going? But here's one. Aw, this one. If you read the book, you'll understand why I went, aw, that one. I really, really, really liked the way it was written. I thought it was beautifully written. I also liked that at the beginning of the book, when the boy is younger, the writing is a lot more immature, a lot more naive, a lot simpler, a lot more like a child is telling the story. And as he grows, the writing grows as well and becomes a little more complex, a little less childish. And I liked that, and I liked how I noticed it, and I was like, hey, the writing's not as simple anymore, it's not as kiddie, and I was like, oh, I guess that's because he's not a kid anymore. So that was cool. I really liked that. I also just really loved the atmosphere and the setting. I thought it was a really wonderful story. It was beautiful. It was beautifully written. It had wonderful illustrations to go with it. I really, really liked the characters. I liked Silas a lot. He had some good words of wisdom, and I just liked him. He just seemed like a very nice, gentle character, and I just really liked him a lot. The only thing that I need to say about it that is not very good, I guess, is that this is for kids. This is in the 9 to 12 section in the bookstore, and on the back it says ages 10 and up, and I think it is way too scary for 10-year-olds. Way too scary. I didn't think it was scary, because I'm 26, but if I was reading this when I was 10, I would have had nightmares. Especially because at the beginning, when the man is murdering his family, there's pictures of him going up the stairs with a knife in his hand, and it talks about how he kills them with a knife, and later on in the book, he talks about how he's going to chop up a 15-year-old girl into little pieces. I'm sorry, that is not proper for 10-year-olds. And then also, some of the pictures of, the graveyard and some of the things that happen in the graveyard I thought were really scary as well. They didn't scare me, but I feel like if it was a 10-year-old reading it, I feel like it would make them cry. Like the way Darla made 3-year-olds cry in Finding Nemo. I feel like it was way too much. I don't think a 10-year-old would enjoy that. I'm sorry, Neil. This was a beautiful book, but I think it's a little too intense for the kiddies. Maybe I'm wrong, because it did win an award, so maybe there was a lot of 10-year-olds who didn't think it was scary. But there were some quotes that I really, really, really liked, and I want to share them with you, and I wrote down what pages they were on, so hopefully we can find them quickly. You're alive, Bod. That means you have infinite potential. You can do anything, make anything, dream anything. If you change the world will change. Well, said Bod, if I go outside in the world, the question isn't, who will keep me safe from him? No? No, it's, who will keep him safe from me? Fear is contagious. You can catch it. Sometimes all it takes is for someone to say that they're scared for the fear to become real. Now his face was a book written in a language long forgotten, in an alphabet unimagined. You're always you, and that don't change. And you're always changing, and there's nothing you can do about it. So that is The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. It's for 10-year-olds, but I think it's too scary for 10-year-olds. But I absolutely loved it. I think it was gorgeous, and I recommend it.